Hello, my name is Mariana, and today this is a reading for Gemini. So Gemini, I'm doing a reading as usual with my own tarot deck, so the cards that you'll see are from this deck. So Gemini, your reading today feels like a big deja vu, because I feel like the message that is here is kind of like a pretty common type of line of thought when you're undergoing a big self-discovery, self-knowledge, shadow work type of process. And so basically your message is saying it's time to revisit something, and I want to say specifically somewhere from your past. And so whether this is going to be like a actual physical visit or just by mentally going back to that place, it's time for that, Gemini, because it's time to close and shut that door once and for all, I want to say. So it's important that you go back there with your present day consciousness, with your current maturity level, like in your forefront, right? In a way that you're going to be practically seeing or revisiting that place, that moment, in a way that the emotions are not going to impact you, right? So we're beginning with two cards instead of one because these two flew together, and they were talking about this revisiting of the past, the Judgment and the Six of Cups. So the Judgment was talking about this sentence, in a sense, right? It's like, this is unavoidable. You cannot postpone this anymore. This is the time to go back to the past, revisit some sort of memory, but I want to say something that maybe you thought you had dealt with it because of this card coming next. The Eight of Swords was talking about you pressing fast forward in a situation back then, right? This is all about the speed. And maybe this was some sort of like self-protection mechanism that when you were younger, Gemini, you didn't know any other way out of that situation. So hurrying up and running out of that situation seemed to be like the best option, or maybe the only option, right? It's like running away from something that was completely detrimental, that was uncomfortable, that was unpleasant. And you knew that there were spiky things, I want to say, right? It's like, even though maybe when you were younger, I want to say, because your younger self is coming here, and that's the reason why this revisiting now from where you're standing, from the it's like from this maturity level that you have reached right now, it's important because I feel like you are going to sense what you sensed back then, but now these spikes are not going to create any type of discomfort. It's almost like you will know exactly what caused this discomfort, what caused the pain, in a sense, the urgency, I want to say. It's like the urgency to run away, to escape that place, to press fast forward. So maybe it's something like, when you were a kid, the only way out of that situation was you desperately desiring to grow up as fast as possible. You see what I mean? So, but now that you are grown up, essentially, it's time to revisit that, because also with this Eight of Swords, the thing about this well, knowing, right, becoming aware that that situation was dealt with you running away from it, or with you pressing this fast forward and just trying to escape it at any cost, actually needs to be tend to, right? It needs to be healed, I want to say, but in a practical way. And that's the reason why maybe for some of you, you actually need to go back physically to that place to sense the things that were causing you, you know, burdens or pain back then. And so the Five of Pentacles and the Queen of Pentacles coming next, the Five of Pentacles is talking about this place, this location, right? It's the X on the map. But it's this map that goes back in time, right? It's not this treasure hunt map for this place that you want to go next. It's the place that you have been avoiding going back since you left that place, right? So now is the time, because I want to say with this Judgment, it's like the more you postpone this, it's almost like the more you're going to delay something, right? It's almost like this sentence, in a sense, to go back right now to that place is important, because I feel like there are other decisions that are waiting to be announced, in a sense, but they depend on this one, which is this healing process, I want to say, right? Because this is coming through as a band-aid. And it's your current self, your mature self with the Queen of Pentacles, right? It's like this level of adulthood that you have stepped into, but very knowingly. It's like very conscious of who you have become, Gemini, in a way that going back to that place now from where you're standing right now, it's like you're going to hold this peace that is going to create this healing, right? It's like I'm seeing this as like a metaphorical type of band-aid, right? It's like mending something that you, it's like you, the vision that I'm receiving from the Eight of Swords, it's like back then when you were a kid, because after the Queen of Pentacles we have the Page of Cups, which is you, right? Which is you going back to maybe your childhood home, or your hometown, or whatever it is that you remember very deeply. Maybe, you know, you have very emotional memories from that time of your life, but there is one specifically, maybe it's like the moment that you left that place, that you decided that was the time that you needed to leave, right? Because the discomfort was growing too big. And so I want to say that so the vision that I was receiving was one of entering a car and not looking backwards or not looking sideways. It's almost like the moment that you enter this fast forward type of movement, right? It's like you just want to escape. So the faster you went, or the faster you ran from out of the situation, it's like you were hoping perhaps that the speed would remove all of the discomfort. It's like literally like running, right? When you let like the wind go by you, it's like you're hoping that, or maybe, you know, as a kid with the type of maturity that you had, which could have been like very small or very inexperienced, right? It's like you were hoping that the speed at which you were moving out of that place was going to remove all of the bad memories, all of the discomfort, but they didn't, right? And that's what you're completely aware now, coming as the Queen of Pentacles, knowing that this sentence that the Judgment is giving you right now to go back to that place is incredibly important. Not only for you to, it's almost like for you to literally go back there so that you know, or you, it's like your physical body needs to be present, right? Because there are things that maybe when you press this fast forward, you missed, right? And because you missed those things, and I'm not saying that you missed in a nostalgic kind of way, like, oh my God, I lost something that I wish I had back. It's almost like it was maybe like maybe I want to say unconsciously done, but your desire, I want to say, as a self-protection mechanism was to remove it by going faster and faster and faster into the future, perhaps, right? And now that you are in the future, essentially, at least from this child's perspective, it's like you are in the future that you were desiring to reach, right? But now that you are in this place, it's like you have to mend something from the past, right? It's like going back to the past from the future, essentially, because this is the way that you're going to heal it. Healing is like it has to be done in this case, Gemini, I feel like, in a practical kind of way. So I don't know if you're going to take some sort of um token from that place, or if you are leaving something there, right, as like a an altar, or maybe you're taking flowers to a place, or maybe whatever it is, right? It's like there has to be some sort of like physical ritual, physical acknowledgement that, right, is the band-aid. The band-aid needs to be physically expressed. I don't know exactly what that is, and maybe that can vary, depending on your situation, because I want to say it's this dialogue between your current self and your younger self. And your younger self, it's like it may have been like very uh unprepared, because at the moment that this was happening, I want to say maybe you were covered in illusion, okay, because of the magician coming next. So I want to say this, going back, it's almost like I'm seeing, Dorothy coming back to her home and seeing things from a new perspective, essentially, after this fast forward motion that essentially took you to where you are. But now going back, it has a different feel to it, because you're no longer deceived or fooled, maybe just maybe manipulated. It's like this magician was at play when you didn't know any better. It's like maybe there were things that you didn't know about, and your strategy was just like, I need to get out of here. Because even though you didn't know exactly what was going on, maybe you had an intuition, like a very small intuition as a kid, that there was something wrong, there was something hidden from you. Often I see something being hidden behind or under this hat of the magician, and I feel like maybe back then you knew there was something off, there was some sort of illusion that maybe you were being manipulated at some level, right? But maybe this was very unconscious, an unconscious process that now, because you are completely aware and mature, it's like you can revisit this. It's like it's almost like I'm seeing this as like a whirlwind of maybe lies, okay? I know this is maybe intense for some, but that's the thing about the Five of Pentacles. It's like, you can deal with the lies now in a way that maybe when you were a kid, it's like you didn't know. It's like you couldn't put your finger on what was wrong, or what was hidden, or what was kept from you, right? It's like the pieces of information that you didn't know how to distinguish between what was true and what was not. And so, but by going there right now with everything that you know, right? And not everything that you know from the person that you have become, Gemini, is most of all from the things that you had to do back then to escape from the manipulation, perhaps, of this magician. And I want to say, with these cards coming next, it might have been like a solitary process, right? And a burdensome one, because the Nine of Wands and the Death card, and these two cards flew out of the deck together. It's like they were talking about, is like having many challenges, right? Because maybe here it's like you didn't know the power that you were going against, right? Remember when I was talking about like you desiring to go as fast as you can to escape something? And here it could have been like maybe, you know, people actively lying to you, but maybe you didn't have like the maturity or the experience to know who was telling the truth or who was telling, lies. And I want to say it's like maybe this was the point in your history, Gemini, that you need to go back right now, right? This is what is being emphasized since the beginning. You need to go back in time. I want to say maybe to forgive yourself from not knowing any better and choosing maybe the hardest path. Because this is what I feel like it's almost like in revisiting this memory, it's not only this healing that you're taking some sort of peace out of it or maybe to it, right? It's coming in both ways. So I want to say it can depend on your situation, but there's something that is being mended from a situation that maybe you chose to run away so fast that, in the hopes that you would be removing with the speed, right? With growing up so fast, maybe we are actually talking about how you matured very early on, right? It's like you were prematurely maturing, if that makes sense, because you wanted to escape maybe the manipulation or maybe something that was just being kept from you. Because at that point in your life, you just couldn't know it. It's like it was like the stories or like the whirlwind of many types of different truths, half truths and non-truths. Like you were surrounded by them. So these were the spikes essentially. So your choice to remove yourself, right? Even if it was, I want to say, the hardest path, because you didn't know any other way out, right? So essentially you chose like maybe you chose to go to really, I don't know, run away from home perhaps, right? Or just it's almost like set out on a solitary journey, right? Not anticipating what were going to be the challenges, because essentially your desire was just to run as fast as you could. So it's almost like maybe you took a few stumbles, right? You had to fall, because you were on your own essentially, because you wanted to run from this magician, right? From the manipulation of this magician. It's like everything that presented itself on the way out of this place, these challenges were nothing compared to the things that you had to listen to when you were a kid, or maybe that you had to go through when you were a kid, right? So this death card coming here at the end is talking about go back that same lane, go back to that old memory, perhaps go back even to that place, and take the steps, the same steps that you took to run away from this magician, from that manipulation, but from this type of maturity, from this type of consciousness, from this type of practical, it's like this observer standpoint, right? But taking the same steps, it's like you're going to, yes, in a fast forward way, but with the level of maturity that you've reached, you're going to fast forward, but backwards in a sense, but then to go back. It's almost like you have to go back, reach that point in which you're revisiting that specific moment that you decided to leave, and leaving together, right? It's like It's like you go back in time, you revisit backwards, but then you revisit fast forward again, but in a way that the moment that you leave, that you exit, that you come back to this current moment in your life, it's like you're shutting that door once and for all. Right? It's like that's done. It's like you have accomplished what you have been sentenced, for instance, right? So this is like a necessary, I want to say, ending for this healing process, right? So Gemini, I am going to pull more cards for you, and I'm going to pull from the astrological runes as well in the extended reading. So if you want to join me there, I'll be very happy to see you. You can find the link down below. But if not, I'll see you next time. Okay, bye.